Yesterday, Cardi B was still the Grammy queen, tossing stacks of cash in her music videos like she was showering the hip-hop sky with glitter. Today, she's sitting stone still in a Los Angeles courtroom, every fingernail suddenly treated like criminal evidence. Yes, you heard that right. A career built on trap beats and unfiltered lyrics was put on trial over a shouting match from 2018 with a security guard. In show business, one bad single is enough to knock an artist off the charts. But in court, a single alleged scratch could cost a star $24 million. The problem is, the jury never saw any scratch at all. Ellis swore her face was torn open. Cardi shot back, "I threw words, not hands." Back and forth they went, trading accusations like verses in a diss track, while the online crowd munched popcorn, waiting for the plot twist. And the twist finally landed. Cardi B cleared on every count, not a dime in damages. But was that the grand finale, or just the trailer for the next episode in the Cardi B courtroom cinematic universe? Back in 2018, Cardi B wasn't throwing punches on stage. She was throwing words in the lobby of a medical clinic. At least, that's the scene her accuser painted. The name attached to that accusation is Emani Ellis, a former security guard who claims she got more than just a verbal lashing. According to Ellis, the rapper's nails tore her face, spit flew in her direction, and the insults carried a sting that went far beyond the physical. Her lawsuit? A staggering $24 million, as if Cardi's temper could be tallied like tour revenue. But here's where the story bends. Witnesses who were right there, the clinic's doctor and receptionist, insisted they saw no claws, no spit, no skin breaking. They described nothing more than a war of words, the kind of celebrity tantrum that makes tabloids but not hospital charts. The documented reality is this: no medical proof of a scratch, no photo of a bruise, no footage of a scuffle. Meanwhile, Ellis held her ground, swearing the encounter was far uglier than the defense wanted the jury to believe. She portrayed herself as the underdog, the worker silenced by a megastar whose fame gave her cover. And in that contrast, celebrity sparkle versus employee struggle, the case found its headlines. Cardi, never one to play meek, denied it all with her trademark fire. Yes, she argued. Yes, her words cut deep. But hands? Never. Nails? Only for the manicure chair. Racial slurs? Absolutely not. She framed the lawsuit as a shameless cash grab, another way to turn her public persona into someone else's payday. When the jury finally weighed it, the scales tipped her way. Ellis walked out without a cent. Cardi walked out like she'd just dropped another platinum single, smiling, taunting the cameras, even hinting at new music on the horizon. So the introduction is clear. This wasn't just a civil case. It was a clash between perception and proof, between accusation and absence of evidence. And it left one question echoing louder than any verdict. Was this justice served or just showbiz surviving? Cardi B has never been the type to whisper. She raps in all caps, lives online in bold font, and treats controversy the way other artists treat album drops, inevitable and profitable. On stage, she is the Bronx-born powerhouse who clawed her way from strip clubs to the Grammys, turning raw honesty and an unfiltered tongue into platinum records. But inside a courtroom, that same unfiltered tongue becomes Exhibit A. Every eye lingers not on her lyrics, but on her nails, her voice, her body language. To her fans, she is a survivor, an icon, someone too busy cashing checks to bother with petty fights. To her critics, she is the perfect villain, brash, loud, and just reckless enough that a story about scratches and spit doesn't sound completely impossible. Then there's Emani Ellis, a name unknown until she locked horns with one of music's biggest stars. She wasn't born into the spotlight, she worked in security, a job built on keeping chaos out. Ironically, her claim to fame now rests on the accusation that chaos walked straight up to her and left a scar. Ellis describes herself as the one who suffered in silence while the celebrity circus spun the narrative. For her, this case is about accountability, about proving that fame doesn't erase responsibility. For the public, though, she risks looking like another figure hoping to cash in on a headline. The tension between them isn't just legal, it's archetypal. Cardi embodies the untouchable star, with money, fans, and swagger to spare. Ellis embodies the everyday worker, fighting for recognition and restitution. One sells out arenas, the other once checked IDs at the door. On paper, it's David versus Goliath. In reality, David was asking for $24 million, and Goliath had a jury nodding in her favor. The contrast couldn't be sharper. A rapper who once turned her past life into Grammy gold, now forced to defend herself against a narrative she insists never happened. A security guard turned plaintiff, carrying her accusations like a ticket to justice, or perhaps a ticket to a payout. Together, they form the kind of duo Hollywood loves, star and accuser, mirror images in a trial where reputation counts more than fingerprints. The story begins in 2018, not with flashing cameras or screaming fans, but in the muted hallway of a medical clinic. Cardi B was already a rising star, her songs blasting out of car radios, her Instagram lives turning into viral events. That night, though, her stage was nothing more glamorous than an office lobby, and her audience was a handful of staff. According to Emani Ellis, this was the moment when fame turned violent, when nails dug into skin, spit flew across the air, and words that cut deeper than any lyric spilled out. But if you ask Cardi's camp, the show played very differently. They described a heated argument. Sure, Cardi isn't known for staying quiet, but nothing more. No scratches, no spit, no racial insults. Just raised voices echoing off white walls. The kind of spat you'd forget the next morning if not for the fact that one of the participants was a chart-topping rapper. Months passed before Ellis transformed that night into a lawsuit. Her claim, the superstar's behavior caused physical injury and emotional trauma. The number attached? $24 million, a sum big enough to turn a hallway squabble into front-page drama. On social media, some sympathized. Ellis framed herself as a working woman standing up against celebrity arrogance. Others rolled their eyes, calling it a money grab dressed up as justice. Fast forward to 2024, and the case finally crawled into a courtroom. By then, Cardi B wasn't just a rapper, she was a household name, a fashion icon, a walking meme generator. The thought of her sitting behind a defense table was surreal, like watching a music video with no beat. Ellis and her lawyers painted the scene in lurid detail, claws slashing across a face, spit landing with insult, words laced with venom. Cardi's side countered with stark simplicity. Witnesses saw nothing but a shouting match. Then came 2025, the climax. After days of testimony, the jury had to decide, was Cardi B the aggressor Ellis described? Or was Ellis rewriting a hallway argument into a Hollywood screenplay? The doctor said he saw no contact. The receptionist agreed. Medical records showed no scratch worth documenting. The scar existed only in Ellis's telling. When the verdict dropped, it landed like a bass drop in one of Cardi's songs. Boom! Not liable, not guilty, not a dime to be paid. The jury didn't buy the image of Cardi as the hallway brawler. Ellis's dreams of a multi-million-dollar payout evaporated in an instant. Cardi, never one to let a stage go to waste, strutted out of court like it was a red carpet. Cameras flashed, and instead of mourning the ordeal, she hinted that new music was coming. To her fans, it was classic Cardi. turning drama into content, lawsuits into PR. Ellis, meanwhile, vowed to appeal, but the headlines weren't hers anymore. So the timeline reads like a script with two different directors. Ellis frames it as a saga of abuse and accountability. Cardi frames it as another day, another baseless attack from someone looking for a check. The jury chose Cardi's version. And the public? They're still split, eating up the drama like it's the latest season of a reality show. Courtrooms usually run on exhibits and documents, but this trial felt more like live theater. There were no bloody shirts, no damning photos, no security footage waiting to drop like a bomb. What the jury got instead was two competing stories. Ellis's account, told with trembling detail, and Cardi's denial, delivered with the swagger of someone who's been defending herself her whole life. Ellis leaned heavily on emotion. She described her face being clawed, spit flying toward her, insults hurled across the clinic lobby. Her testimony wasn't just words, it was performance. Voice breaking, hands gesturing, eyes locking with the jurors as if begging them to see her pain. It had drama, but lacked what jurors tend to crave: proof. Cardi's side chose the opposite approach: cool, clipped, almost bored. Her witnesses, a doctor and a receptionist, sat steady under questioning, repeating the same refrain. They saw no scratch, no spit, just a heated argument. Their delivery was clinical, detached, and that detachment itself became persuasive. In a case starved of hard evidence, calm consistency outshone emotional theatrics. And then came the moment that turned the trial into meme fodder. Frustrated, Ellis's lawyer pivoted to a question so absurd it instantly went viral. Was the hair Cardi wore in court even real? The implication was laughable. If she could wear a wig, could she also fake a story? Cardi's raised eyebrows said everything. Within hours, Twitter had spliced the clip into GIFs, TikToks, and reaction memes. That single exchange captured the imbalance of the case. One side reaching for credibility in all the wrong places, the other daring the world to take them down and walking out with a smirk. The absence of tangible proof didn't just sink Ellis's claim, it let Cardi turn the courtroom into yet another stage where she, not her accuser, controlled the narrative. When the verdict landed, Cardi B didn't slump with relief, she strutted. Cameras caught her leaving the courthouse with the same energy she brings to a music video premiere, flashing a grin that screamed both vindication and free promo. Outside, she played it like a victory lap, teasing the idea of new music as if to remind everyone, court may be over, but the Cardi show never ends. It was a performance in itself, part legal triumph, part album rollout. Emani Ellis, meanwhile, refused to fade quietly. Her camp announced plans to appeal, insisting the jury had overlooked the truth. But the headlines weren't hers anymore. The spotlight shifted instantly to Cardi's celebratory walk, memes of the real hair question, and speculation over whether her next single would feature bars about dodging lawsuits. In the age of viral culture, Ellis's vow to keep fighting looked less like resolve and more like the outro to a song no one wanted to replay. Online, the reaction was split, but loud. Cardi's fans flooded Twitter with celebratory hashtags, painting her as the queen who beat the system. Critics fired back, arguing that fame and charisma can bend justice in ways ordinary people could never dream of. The courtroom had become another arena for culture wars. Celebrity power versus working-class grievance. Star power versus credibility. Still, the internet consensus was clear about one thing. Cardi had turned what could have been career damage into content. She walked out of court not as a disgraced defendant, but as a memeable moment, a trending topic, and, most importantly for her brand, a woman still in control of her narrative. In the short term, Cardi B walks away with her reputation not just intact, but amplified. Instead of being remembered for courtroom defeat, she's remembered for courtroom memes, for a jury siding with her, and for the confident smirk that launched 1,000 reaction videos. The case that could have drained her bank account for $24 million ended up padding her brand with another layer of invincibility. For Ellis, the consequences cut the opposite way. She is now tethered to a high-profile loss, her credibility bruised, her appeal sounding less like a second chance and more like a desperate encore. The uphill climb of convincing another court that invisible evidence exists will be steep, if not impossible. And hovering over it all is Cardi B's next move. She's hinted at filing her own lawsuits against frivolous claims in the future. If she follows through, it won't just be about clearing her name. It will be about setting an example that suing Cardi B comes with a cost. For now, though, the rapper has already done what she does best: turned conflict into currency, drama into dominance. So here's the mic drop question. Was Cardi B, the innocent star, unfairly dragged into a $24 million fantasy? Or the undisputed queen of spinning lawsuits into marketing gold? Either way, the jury's verdict kept her crown shining and her brand untouchable. But don't get too comfortable. Celebrity scandals never end with the credits.